Yo, what's going on, guys? This is your boy Erskine. I know I always come in saying, "Hey, this your boy Earthsmack, the man scientist." Roll that intro, cuz I always used to say that. Relax, you relax. But yeah, I just want to come in to let you guys know, us at the Orange Phoenix crew, we greatly appreciate the support. Now we are up to now 334 subscribers and counting, and we just want to say thank you to you guys. And I want to peel back the curtain just a little bit as far as myself, as far as Orange Phoenix and why I got into comics and when did I get into comics and stuff like that. Because I have been producing comic book content, like issues and stuff like that, and I'm back in the swing of things, if you will. So I was a very inquisitive kid, like back in the day, right? So my mom used to take me to the library every week. This is no exaggeration, okay? It wasn't something that my mom was making me do. It was something that anytime she took me to the library to get a book, I always read it within the next time frame. We got to turn the book in, and it's always a point where she used to take me. I used to be in the library for like an hour. She took time out of her day to actually let me go to the library and check out books that I want to check out. And if I wasn't at a public library, I was in the library at school, just like looking at different books to read, like that. So as far as comic books is concerned, the reason I got into comic books is because of the fantastical world that Marvel, DC, Image, and other comic books create. And I have a vivid imagination. So if I'm reading something and it expands my imagination a little bit, then, or a lot rather, it's a euphoric experience. It's a high. So I really do enjoy reading. The first comic book that I did get, not bought, but I will say check out from the library. My mom pointed out Fantastic Four and Spider-Man. There was like hardback covers, right? And it was like old school artwork. We're talking like 1960 style of Fantastic Four and Captain America. I used to check that book out all the time, like all the time. Like I don't care how many times I read that book. I was just so fascinated with the stories. And my mom pretty much expand on that. Like she paid very close attention to the things that I was very much interested in. And she got me a VHS tape. It was a VHS Submariner VHS tape. And it had like the PowerPoint still shots. It was all animated and stuff. I got to learn about a tour when Namor was Mortal Enemies. And it was like a 2-episode VCR tape. The second episode is one I enjoyed the most because it had Thor, it had Captain America, it had Hawkeye. It was all still shots, but I was still fascinated with that because anytime that I want to pop in a VCR tape, I just go ahead and skip the tour one. Even though I did enjoy that, I just like the team ups. Like I really did love the team ups. So again, some of the books I used to read, man, outside of comics was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, Super Fudge. I think it was Fudge-O-Mania, Nate the Great, like any of the Beverly Cleary books, like stuff like that. Phantom Toll Booth. I used to read the Phantom Toll Booth a lot. But going back to comics though, my mom used to get medicine from me from this drugstore called Revco. Now, for you old heads out there, I know you know what Revco is. So the new heads, CVS is what Revco was to us. It wasn't as big, but Revco pretty much had different toys and comics and stuff like that outside of the pharmacy. So there was this small carousel, right, that had nothing but comics on it. They had Marvel and DC stuff, but mostly Marvel. And she got me an X-Men comic book. Changed my life, changed my life. And then, of course, X-Men, the animated series dropping on Saturday morning cartoons, Spider-Man, the animated series, and so on and so forth. And it just never left me. Like my love for comic books just further expand. And Wolverine was my favorite X-Men out of that team, which was honestly a lot of other people's favorite. To keep it a buck, like nobody really liked Cyclops like that, but I learned to respect Cyclops later on in life. But Wolverine, I had several solo Wolverine comics. And I mean, I learned about Rough House. I learned about Bloodscream. I learned about LCD. I learned about Albert. I learned about Lady Deathstrike. I learned about Cyber. Like other villains outside of Sabretooth, I was into Wolverine. And this was when Wolverine had bone claws. This was after he got the adamantium stripped out of his body. So I had like stacks of Wolverine comics. And I can't tell you where I put them. They probably got thrown away because I was not a comic book collector. I was a comic book reader. So it could have been like one of the most rarest comics ever. And I cracked that bitch open and I just kept reading it. I just kept reading it. Now I treat it a little bit differently. I have different methods to my madness. And I'm going to tell you those, later. But I was definitely an avid reader. Shout out to my mentor. I call him Mr. Rev. This is another little tidbit. Like we had Revco, but we also had Walden Books. We had Books A Million. We had Barnes and Noble. We had B. Dalton Bookstore. There was several like bookstores around outside the normal Barnes and Noble and Books A Million. There was like several bookstores that was out. So he took me to B. Dalton Bookstore, him and my mom, and I got my first trade. And I went to town because, he had like stacks of money, you know what I mean? And he's like, get whatever you want, get how many books you want. And I was like, you know what you're telling me right now, bro? Like you understand what you're telling me. So the first trade I got was Spider-Man and Revenge of the Sinister Six. And I read that book religiously. The artwork just had me, right? It was just like so graphic and in your face. And like within like the first 2 pages of action, there was a team up with Ghost Rider and Spider-Man fighting the Cyborg. And I was like all into it and get to see Dr. Octopus get the Sinister Six back together again and go into another dimension, getting like, next dimension weapons to fight Spider-Man. Spider-Man had to team up with various people. I get to learn about Nova. I got to learn about Solo. I got to learn about different Marvel characters out there through that team up. And I didn't even know about the new Fantastic Four when the old Fantastic Four was away, which was crazy. Learn about Sleepwalker. So that was the first trade I got. The next one was Avengers X-Men Blood Ties. That was like the first team up I ever saw. Wolverine was not in that comic, was not in that trade. What was funny about that is that was one of the reasons why I bought that graphic novel in the first place, right? When I learned Wolverine wasn't in there, I didn't give it enough love back then as I did a few years later, because the more and more I read it, the more and more intrigued I got. Like the more and more things I understood and really, really enjoy the story now. Venom, Lethal Protector, that was the next comic that I did get. And I was a huge Venom fan. And the fact that he was a good guy, I love the fact that he was out on his own. Even though Spider-Man was a special guest star, he wasn't the focal point. Venom was the focal point, and I, greatly appreciate that. And then I got a Star Wars vehicle catalog, me mistaking it for a graphic novel. But those were the first books that I got, man. Like Spider-Man Revenge of the Sinister Six holds a special place in my heart because anytime that I was on a road trip with my mom and my brother or whatever, that book used to go with me. If I had to wait in the doctor's office before I go see the doctor for my checkups or whatever, guess what I had with me? Spider-Man Revenge of the Sinister Six. I was reading that religiously. I was not bored or anything like that. And I feel like in some cases that's a lost art with children these days, but it is what it is. So to back up even further, like my brother was also the one that was like enhancing my love for comic books. Like he wasn't really much of a comic book like person, but he did give me JLA #1, like a rebirth issue. While he wisely kept Superman when Superman was in that energy containment suit. And it didn't really bowl really well for Superman fandom, but that was an iconic situation. But he kept that comic book. Don't know he still have it. But he used to read me those old Captain America Fantastic Four library books. Like if mom couldn't read stories to me, my brother did. And me and him was 11 years apart. And I'm grateful for that. And for a little period, I did get off of comics for a little bit. Not because I grew out of it. It's because other interests was getting my attention, like anime and gaming really did took over as well. So it's not enough hours in the day, you know. But I would say a few years ago I jumped back into comics, and now what I do is peeling back the curtain. Now what I do, I go get physical copies of these books, like the number ones, the first appearances, and I keep those in bag and boarded in the box. Chances are I won't open them. However, though, I still read them because I go on the Kindle app on my phone and I read them digitally because I do not miss out on the story. So I do both things. I get the physical copies for the collecting side, and I also read these stories because I'm very much intrigued with these stories. And that's why I always encourage in these videos to go out and read. Go out and support your nearest comic book store. Go out and support your nearest independent artist, because I feel like in every city, every town, there's an independent artist out there that putting their work out there, and it might just go over your head, you know? So if you're not unable to get a physical copy, and if it's sold out, then guess what? You got the Kindle app. It does just as well. You support the artists, you support the writers, you do all those things in between. But I feel like I'm gonna do more of these videos to peel back the curtain a little bit more, to give you more insight on us. And I feel like the next type of video like this, that we will talk about Orange Phoenix, like what started Orange Phoenix, when did we start, and what is the mission statement of Orange Phoenix and everything else in between. But we just want you guys to get to know me, the CEO of Orange Phoenix, and then you get to learn the rest of the staff through the show. Like, shout out to Vivo the Vibe, shout out to Boogie Blend, shout out to infamous Alvin Staley, and shout out to Thread Magnet Cosplay, shout out to Brittany Sherman, shout out to Rachel. These are the young ladies that work on the magazine that comes out later on this month, so you might want to go check that out. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys took the time out to actually hear the thank yous and hear the gratitude that we do have, because we are a growing channel and want to continue to grow. Go ahead and share our videos. Go ahead and share the channel. Let your friends and family know that, hey, we exist out here. Orange Phoenix Media exists, and we cover all things of geek culture. So thank you for hanging out, and thank you once again. I'm gonna just keep saying thank you, because y'all make it happen. Y'all make it happen. So until next time, y'all. Peace.